Good morning. My name is Suman Chen. We're going to talk today about why we at Belarc think that ITAM as it's practiced today is essentially broken and where it might go in the future. So ITAM is important today. Let's start with the obvious one, software licensing. Everyone knows that the vendors are auditing more and more frequently, more aggressively, and there's lots of dollars involved, some big dollars. We had a customer recently that was handed a $30 million uh, audit overage request, and fortunately that was mitigated with good data, but the numbers are fairly astonishing. The other main reason for ITAM is IT security. The U.S. federal government standards, both from NIST and independent agency SANS, have really outlined that not only do you need to know what IT assets you have before you can secure them, but you really need to know the detailed configurations of those particular assets. And the third area is configuration management. So ITAM today, as we see it, is a real patchwork quilt of both services and various products, and very little of it really works together well. It's all very manual, very unautomated, if we should put it. Um, Lots of existing data sources are being used. Among those are the obvious ones: SCCM from Microsoft, ADDM on the servers for BMC, Tivoli's in there, and a number of other uh, operational tools. These are all operational tools, and keep in mind the data from these tools was not meant for software licensing, was not meant for ITAM purposes at all, was really just meant for operational purposes. But today that data is still being used to try to do some fairly sophisticated software licensing and ITAM initiatives. Then this data is really unusable, so there are companies out there that will take that data and tell you that they can make it useful. So the terms used are normalize, consolidate, software catalog, if you will, and that's a whole other process, very manual. You don't just throw it in one end and out it comes. And then you have the software license engines and report generators. And then of course you have your repository of purchase records, and all this has to work together in some fashion. So that's what the consultants up here are for. So most of the product vendors make most of their, I'd say at least half their money on consulting services. And then you have the outright consultants, people like Deloitte, Touche, and then obviously the software distributors such as Software One and NLA are very heavily involved in this business. So very manual, very complex, and costly process today in ITAM. Why is this in this state? We looked at it, and frankly, we really think that, sad to say, ITAM just was not that important in the past. It was sort of the poor stepchild, and we're told, use the existing tools and use your Excel spreadsheet, and come back and tell me that we're okay on our upcoming Microsoft audit. Audits didn't happen that often. The money involved was not that large, so that was probably an okay way to go, but certainly not acceptable in today's environment. Discovery data is quite poor for ITAM. As we mentioned, it's multiple sources, very confusing, contradictory data. It's very incomplete, doesn't necessarily cover all the operating systems or even cover all the servers. A lot of it's quite frankly inaccurate for licensing purposes, where you really need to get down into the CPU cores and hyperthreads that are in the processors. Of course, you need to know which virtual machines are running on which physical boxes, because that is what you're licensing, after all, the physical boxes. The data is really not readily available. It's a major effort to get the data, often not enterprise-wide, and the whole process is really not automated. Lots of manual efforts by consultants and in-house personnel too. So Here's a case study. This was actually presented at a large industry conference a year ago, and interesting case. 14,000 host machines. These are desktops, laptops, servers, and VMs. We should say a large percentage of these, 6,000, were actually servers. So that makes it a little bit more complex than the average 14,000 host environment, but not that large. They were using multiple data sources from SCCM, BMCs, ADDM on the servers. Some IBM product was out there, and they had purchased the products that are listed here. At the time of the conference, the presentation, they had spent 3 years. They had 20 full-time engineers on staff just on this project, and at the time they had spent $25 million to create a repository of ITAM data. They were expecting that it would cost them 8 to 10 full-time equivalent engineers just to maintain this system. So a large amount of money to build this, a large amount of money, even larger over time to maintain this system. Basically, in our opinion, it was not supportable on an ongoing basis. I think many CIOs, after 3 or 4 years of this, would toss in the towel. So this is an actual case. It was presented as a successful case, by the way. And we think the key elements for a successful ITAM system, and this is where I think we're going to go today, and some companies, and in the future, everyone will go in this route. Really, a single source of data, a single source of verifiable discovery data is really necessary, and this has to be automated. This can't be done manually from existing sources. This has to be automated, has to be automatically normalized, consolidated, and made available across the enterprise. Obviously, you need up-to-date software licensing rules because these change from time to time. You need automated links to your purchase records. Why repeat your records in another system when you've already got it in SAP or PeopleSoft? Of course, they may be in Excel spreadsheets. That's fine too. And you need a way to see your in an automated way, your license position. So this is Belarc's approach, and I think you'll see more of this in the future from other companies. We're talking about a intranet or cloud-based, internal cloud-based system primarily, can also be hosted on SaaS, but an automated way to do discovery. So this system basically, the clients upload a profile on a daily basis. They're dormant. They wake up once a day. They run a 15-second scan, create a 40 KB file, upload that to the server. Server creates entries in the database, and the server also creates web-based reports that users who are authorized can log in and view. And these could be users from all over the enterprise, not just a headquarters staff, not just your SCCM staff. This could be local admins that need to see for their group what their licensing position is, what their configurations are on the machines that they're responsible for. So this is a very, very automated system, updates daily in an automated fashion. No need for manual intervention. But once you have the data, that's when you need people to really help you decide, am I licensing this properly? Are these machines secured? Are the configurations proper on these machines? So we'll tell you a little bit about a successful software licensing case. This happens to be a large federal agency. About 57, a little under 60,000 host machines, desktops, laptops, servers, virtual machines throughout the country. Their single source of data is Belarc's Bell Managed Server, updates daily, and analytics for software license reporting. So they rolled out 50,000 hosts in under a month. They already had about 7 or 8,000 previously. 50,000 hosts in under a month. And data was available immediately. The whole effort cost less than $1 million, and no additional manpower, none was required. To date, they have achieved major savings on their Esri ArcGIS licenses, their Adobe audit. They're also gone through a Microsoft audit. They saved almost $30 million on their IBM audit because they had proper data to be able to dispute Deloitte's audit numbers. So pretty impressive, and these systems definitely work. They are available today with this approach. Uh, the other area of ITAM that's really important, we think, is for security, and this really comes about because the NSA and the U.S. federal government, in the form of NIST, have created some pretty solid benchmarks, if you will, configuration benchmarks, and these are some of the things that can be picked up, some of the controls that they call in the security business that can be picked up in an automated fashion. So missing hot fixes, out-of-date software versions, these are major reasons for attacks on host machines that eventually allow attacks on large databases. You obviously need to track which users have logged in. USB storage device usage is particular to the federal government, but should be alerted to industry also. Encryption status, particularly on laptops that go missing, is extremely important to track. US government configuration benchmarks are important, and obviously you need to be able to discover all the network attached devices. So this includes network printers, IP phones, tablets, the whole gamut. A little bit about Belarc, a little bit over 2,000 customers worldwide. Many are large, some very small, but many are quite large, and most have been with us for quite a while, over 10 years. So we do tend to create long-term relationships with our customers that are beneficial for both. 8 US and worldwide patents. Some are quite interesting. I'll tell you that in more detail, and founded in '97. Another list of some of our enterprise-wide customers and long-term customers. And basically going on to our strengths, obviously strong in the technology side, and equally important, strong relationships with our customers. We see these as long-term relationships, not so much as gouging our customers for consulting money, but making sure that these automated systems work for them and we're able to answer their questions. Agile, we have a global customer base, and overall our products are very low cost to operate and have an extremely large ROI. So thank you for listening, and please send us questions and comments.